just like desire trees, mills and hires, and they are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. Panchakalpa Durgasha, Kripa Sindhu Yevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha, Vaishnava.
Big crowd today. Where's Drista? Has he been coming or? Oh. What? Oh. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bhikkhuti Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bhikkhuti Gopi Janabalaba Hiribarudagute Gopi Janabalaba Hiribarudagute Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Panachate Yamuna Tera Panachate Jayarando Madhava Kunya Bhikkhuti Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bhikkhuti Gopi Rana Madhava Hiribarudagute Gopi Janabalabha Hiribarudagute Hiribarudagute Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanan Nanabrajachanoran Jana Jamuna Tera Panachate Yamuna Tera Panachate Jayaranho Madhava Kunabihahute Jayaradhu Madhava Kunabihahute Hare Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paravidakacharya Shimad, His Divine Grace. Abhaya Chandananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Vilas Thakur Ki Jai. Friends say Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Makunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Maturanam Ki Jai. Jagadasami Ki Jai. Yamunamai Ki Jai. Shrimati Lasadev Ki Jai. Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Samariti Namadi Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deja Tarani. So today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 53rd chapter, texts 20 to 21. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're just going to read the first text responsively, and then later on I'll just read the second text. Shutvaitad Bhagavan Ramo Avipakshiya Ripodyamam Krishnang Chaikang Gatam Hartum Kanyang Kalaha Shankata Shrutvaitan Bhagavan Ramahu Vipakshiyan Ripojamam Krishnam Chaikam Gatam Hartung Kanyang Kalaha Shankita Shrutvaitat Bhagavan Ramahu Vipakshiyan Ripojamam Krishnang Chaikam Gatam Hartum Kanyang Kalaha Shankita Shrutvaitad Bhagavan Ramahu Vivakshiyan Ripojamam Krishnam Chaikam Gatam Hartum Kanyang Kalaha Shankita Okay, ladies. Okay, and I'll read the next text, and then we'll do the word by word synonyms. Balena mahata sarlang. No. Abratrir sneha paripluta. Twarita kundinam pragad. Gajashvarata patibe. So synonyms. Shrutva, hearing. Etat, this. Bhagavan Rama, Lord Balaram. Vipakshiya, inimical. Nripa, of the kings. Ujamam, the preparations. Krishnam, Lord Krishna. Cha, and. Ekam, alone. Gatam, gone. Hartum, to take away. Kanyam, the bride. Kalaha, a fight. Shankata, a fearing. Balena, a force. Mahata, mighty. Sardam, together with. Bratri, for his brother. Sneha, in affection. Pariputta, immersed. Tvarita, swiftly. Kundinam, to Kundina. Pragat, went. Gaja, with elephants. Ashva, horses. Rata, chariots, pati B, and infantry. Translation: when Lord Balaram heard about these preparations of the inimical kings and how Lord Krishna had set off alone to steal the bride, he feared that a fight would ensue. Immersed in affection for his brother, he hurried to Kundina with a mighty army consisting of infantry and of soldiers riding on elephants, horses, and chariots. You can repeat. When Lord Balaram heard about these preparations of the inimical kings and how Lord Krishna had set off alone to steal the bride, he feared that a fight would ensue. Immersed in affection for his brother, he hurried to Kundina with a mighty army consisting of infantry and of soldiers riding on elephants, horses, and chariots. So there is no commentary by the followers of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. So I am going to read the commentaries of the Acharyas. So here's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments. Hearing from a succession of persons, Balaram, though being the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan, actually, spelled wrong here, being omniscient and omnipotent, feared an oncoming battle, and therefore went to Kundina with a huge contingent of troops. This is because of his strong affection for his brother, which covered his omniscience. For it is human nature to worry about the dangers imminent for a friend. And then Jiva Goswami. Through word of mouth, Balaram heard of what had just been described, that the inimical kings were eager to fight. First he heard from persons coming from Vidarbha, and later he made inferences by going inside the palace and not seeing Krishna. He was worried that a fight would occur. Shankata is an agent derived from a past participle or follows the words ending in ita like karaka. That's from Panini 5.2.36. The cause of his worry was his great affection for his brother. He was flooded with an ocean of sweet prema related to his dear brother and became incapable of doing or thinking anything. Great anxiety, even though he was endowed with all knowledge and action. With great strength of elephant, chariots, cavalry, and infantry, he went there quickly in half a prahara, 1.5 hours, to meet with Krishna in Vidarbha along with his troops. In doing this, though covered by the power of his troops, Balaram showed his power of favorableness to Krishna by his affection. The love for his brother was stronger than his awareness that Krishna was the Lord, Bharatri Sneha Paripluta. And let's see if Sanatana Goswami says anything different. I'm going to go in the middle of Sanatana Goswami's commentary. Or he was afraid the quarrel would occur. Why would he be frightened, since he was by nature fearless and knew of Krishna's powers? He was absorbed in complete affection for his brother. His affection was without limit, like the ocean. The brother is used to indicate that his knowledge of Krishna as the Lord disappeared, and he was aware of him only as a brother. Mention of elephants indicates that the 4 parts of the army were all present. He went quickly, almost with Krishna, who had left previously in the morning. Later it is mentioned that Bhishmaka welcomed them both at the same time. So I'll speak a few words and read a few quotes about these things. So, Om Gana Timirandasha Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, of course, this is a common theme that we see, that the great devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not only Balaram, but great devotees of the Lord, they often forget, and of course this is called Yoga Maya. So Yoga Maya is a devotional potency, so they forget out of love. We are forgetting out of envy because, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Naham Prakasha Sarvasha, Yoga Maya Samavrata. Those Mula, yeah. So those who are actually foolish, who don't want me, then I cover them with the Yoga Maya. But that Yoga Maya is not that is an expansion of Yoga Maya, which is Mahamaya. So that is illusion. But this illusion is caused by bhakti. And we see many incidences of this in the Lord's pastimes. And of course, my favorite instances occurred during the Ramayan pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, where we have several times that Ram is in anxiety over Lakshman, Lakshman is in anxiety over Ram, and Hanuman and the monkeys, of course, are in anxiety over in anxiety over both of them. And I'm going to tell some stories about that. So these three personalities are basically conscious that Ram and Lakshman are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hanuman is definitely conscious. The pure devotee, he understands Ram is Lord Vishnu. So there's no question about that. So let me tell the stories. So, once upon a time, we have Ram and Lakshman who are hit with this Nagpash, the snake weapon, and they're entangled in the snake weapon, and they're going to die before the rising of the sun the next day. And Hanuman is in great anxiety, and then, of course, he gets Garuda, and Garuda comes and saves them from the snake weapon. Another time is that, this is actually quite an interesting story from the Valmiki Ramayana, that Lakshman is so much anxiety to protect Ram, because Lakshman and Balaram in one sense are the same. Balaram appeared, of course, as the elder brother, and that's because Ram benedicted Lakshman to no longer appear as the younger brother, but that's another story. So anyway, so Lakshman was in so much anxiety because he knew that Indrajit had this Shakti weapon. We mentioned this one of the other days in my class. And this Shakti weapon was meant for Ram. So he deliberately confronted Indrajit so he could take that Shakti weapon, which there was no cure for, and take it on himself to protect Ram, even though he knew that Ram was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And remember, Ram knows that Lakshman and he are non-different. And so, but through this devotional mood between both of them, they forget their position. And so he protects Ram, taking the Shakti weapon, and then Ram, Lord Ram, is in so much anxiety, he's crying, and he's saying, you know, without Lakshman, there's no need for me to go on living. I have no life without Lakshman. Amazing, isn't it? Even though he has that knowledge, but his omniscience is covered by his love for his brother. And then, of course, everyone's in anxiety, and then eventually it's understood the only thing that's going to cure Lakshman is this son Jivani. So Hanuman is sent to find the son Jivani, comes back, and Hanuman's in anxiety, and everyone's in anxiety. So anyway, these are some instances from the Ramayana. Of course, there's another instance, too, when, actually, so many instances, when Indrajit takes a replica of Sita Devi and he flies in his chariot in front of Ram and Lakshman and the monkeys, and he kills Sita Devi. And Ram is just like in anxiety. Even though he knows who Sita Devi is, even though he knows that Indrajit's not going to be able to kill Sita Devi. So you find this anxiety out of love in so many instances in the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now I'm going to read from Srila Prabhupada's books about other instances of anxiety, not from the Ramayana. And these are instances in Vrindavan where the devotees are in anxiety over Krishna's safety. And one of the things that inspired me, when I was reading this verse yesterday, I was inspired by thinking about the anxiety the gopis feel over Krishna's being in the forest and having his feet being pricked by all the thorns. And so this is an interesting quote from the 7th canto, 1st chapter, text 27 in the purport. There are many devotees in Raga Marg, which is exhibited in Vrindavan, whether in Dasharas, Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras, or Madhuryaras, all the devotees are always overwhelmed by thoughts of Krishna. So in other words, there's intense anxiety, intense longing, all the emotions in Vrindavan, and with the pure devotees of the Lord, there's the intensity of those emotions. That always overwhelmed. You know what overwhelmed means? It means you can't think of anything else. You just, It's just like, Anyway, it's like, anyway. When Krishna's away from Vrindavan tending the cows in the forest, the gopis in Madhurya Ras are always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, how Krishna walks in the forest. This is again protection. The soles of his feet are so soft that the gopis would not dare keep his lotus feet on their soft breasts. Indeed, they consider their breasts a very hard place for the lotus feet of Krishna, yet those lotus feet wander in the forest, which is full of thorny plants. The gopis are absorbed in such thoughts at home, although Krishna is away from them. Similarly, when Krishna plays with his young friends, Mother Yashoda is very much disturbed by thoughts that Krishna, because of always playing and not taking his food properly, must be getting weak. So remember, of course, Mother Yashoda doesn't realize that Krishna is God because she's overwhelmed with yogamaya, with love. Yogamaya means love. When there's love, one doesn't think of the object of love's position. These are examples of the exalted ecstasy felt in Krishna's service as manifest in Vrindavan. And then Prabhupada states, skipping over a little bit here, Narada Muni recommends that one somehow or other be absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, for that will save one from the dangers of material existence. In other words, we should arrange our devotional service in a practical way that we're always absorbed, even if it's an anxiety, just like people who are taking care of the deities, people who are taking care of the temple. There's anxiety, but that anxiety is purifying. It's actually Krishna conscious. So here's some more quotes from Srila Prabhupada. This is from the Nectar of Devotion. So this is about Krishna's Vayasyas, which, friends, are in such intimate friendship. In other words, their love for Krishna is so intense that sometimes they think themselves as good as Krishna. When Krishna was holding up Govardhan Hill with his left hand, the Vayasyas said, "Dear friend, you've been standing for the last 7 days and nights without any rest. This is very troublesome for us because we see that you have undertaken a severely laborious task. In other words, their anxiety about that. We think, therefore, that you need not continue to stand in that way holding the hill. You can just transfer it onto Sudama's hand. We are very much aggrieved to see you in that position. If you think that Sudama is not able to support Govardhan Hill, then at least you should change hands. Instead of support. This is all out of love. Their anxiety is out of love. Instead of supporting it with your left hand, please transfer it to your right hand so that we may give your left hand a massage. This is an instance of intimacy showing how much the Vaishyas considered themselves equal to Krishna. Now, another quote from the Nectar of Devotion about Krishna's friends who were older than him, which is similar to Balaram's position. Krishna's well-wisher friends are a little bit older than Krishna, and because they have some parental affection for him. So, of course, in this particular case with Balaram, there's a mixture of a little bit of parental affection. Parental means concern in this particular case. Because of their being older than Krishna, they always try to protect him from any harm. As such, they sometimes bear weapons so that they can chastise any mischievous persons who want to do harm to Krishna. And counted among the well-wisher friends are Subhadra, that's not Krishna's sister, that's a coward boy, Mandali Bhadra, Bhadravardhana, Gobhata, Yaksha, Indrabhata, Bhadranga, Virabhadra, Mahaguna, Vijaya, and Balabhadra. They are older than Krishna and always thinking of his welfare. So here's another instance. This is from the Kaliya pastime, Action Nectar of Devotion again. When Krishna entered the lake of Kaliya, his intimate friends became so perturbed that their bodily colors faded, and they all produced horrible gurgling sounds. At that time, all of them fell down on the ground as if unconscious. Similarly, when there was a forest fire, all of Krishna's friends neglected their own protection. Here's the desire to protect Krishna, and surrounded Krishna on all sides to protect him from the flames. This behavior of the friends toward Krishna is described by thoughtful poets as vyabhichari. So there's 33 symptoms of vyabhichari. Vyabhichari is a heading of type of bhavas or expressions of emotion that are uncontrollable, intermittent, unpredictable. So these are the most intense emotions. In vyabhichari, ecstatic love for Krishna, there is sometimes madness, dexterity, fear, laziness, jubilation, pride, dizziness, meditation, disease, forgetfulness, and humbleness. These are some of the common symptoms in the stage of vyabhichari, ecstatic love for Krishna. So this is actually what Balaram was exhibiting, one of the manifestations of vyabhichari. So anyway, here's an example of Arjuna, who is aware that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because this is during the battle of Kurukshetra, because Arjuna previously seen the universal form. Arjuna was completely convinced that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It was like in the 10th chapter of the Gita, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavicham, Bharmam, Bhavam, Purusham, Shashvatam, Divyam, Adidevam, Aham Vibhuhu. Arjuna says, you were the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Abode, the most pure, etc. Ahostvam Rishayak Sarve Devarshir Naradasada. And I'm completely convinced about this because Devala, Vyasa, and great sages has confirmed this of you. So, this is from Nectar of Devotion again. There's a nice example of the friendship between Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. When the fighting was going on, Ashwatthama, the son of Dronacharya, unceremoniously attacked Krishna, although according to the prevailing rules of chivalry, one's chariot driver should never be attacked by the enemy. Ashwatthama behaved heinously in so many ways that he did not hesitate to attack Krishna's body, although Krishna was acting only as a charioteer for Arjuna. When Arjuna saw that Ashwatthama was releasing various kinds of arrows to hurt Krishna, he immediately stood up in front of Krishna to intercept all of them. So, and he's feeling similar to Lakshman interfering with the Shakti Shila weapon. At that time, although Arjuna was being harmed by those arrows, he felt an ecstatic love for Krishna, and the arrows appeared to him like showers of flowers. And the final example is Lord Brahma, who knew that Lord Varaha was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yet he has an anxiety about this whole fight between Lord Varaha and Hiranyaksha. So this is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto. So Lord Brahma is getting anxiety. He says, my dear Lord, there is no need to play with this serpentine demon, who is always very skillful in conjuring tricks and is arrogant, self-sufficient, and most wicked. My dear Lord, you are infallible. So, contrasting this. But still he's in anxiety. You are infallible. Please kill this sinful demon before the demoniac hour arrives. And he presents another formidable approach favorable to him. You can kill him by your internal potency without a doubt. My Lord, the darkest evening, which covers the world, is fast approaching. Since you are the soul of all souls, in other words, he's showing his knowledge that Krishna is God, yet there's anxiety. Kindly kill him and win victory for the demigods. The auspicious period known as Abhijit, which is most opportune for victory, commenced at midday and is all but past. Therefore, in the interest of your friends, please dispose of this formidable foe quickly. This demon, luckily for us, has come of his own accord to you, his death ordained by you. Therefore, exhibiting your ways, kill him, and in the duel, and establish the worlds in peace. So, this is a very common factor in the Lord's relationships with his devotees, the Lord's relationships with his expansions. There's this anxiety and forgetfulness out of love, Yogamaya, for the safety of the Lord and for the safety of the Krishna conscious movement, for the service of the deities. All these things keep us focused in an intense way on the Lord. So, any questions or comments? That's all I have to say. Yes.
Anxiety exhibited in between Prabhupada and his disciples.
Yes.
An early instance was when he had a heart attack or a stroke, I think it was, in New York, and they were very, very concerned about his well-being. He was in the hospital. They were taking him to the beach, taking care of him,
Right.
and then of course at the end in his final pastimes. So, how does the anxiety to take care or to serve the guru purify the disciple?
Prabhupada actually commented that it was Krishna's arrangement to draw the disciples closer to him and to make them think of his welfare. And then we see, especially during the final pastimes in this world, Prabhupada was, sometimes getting well, and then getting ill again, and it was it was alternating between periods of wellness and periods of intense sickness, and it was just drawing the devotees to him. And and allowing the devotees to serve him in a very intimate fashion. So that anxiety is purifying too. So, yes, Prabhupada Priya.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. I was just thinking of how, also in our movement, that the instance of in Bombay when Mr. Nair or somebody sent his goons there to try to smash the temple and take the deities away. Then there were some devotees, I think it was the women who kind of like put their bodies in between the deities and those people and said, you need to kill us if you want to touch them. So no one was thinking, oh, he's the supreme controller. This is all happening by his will. If he wants, he can kill them right now. They weren't thinking. They were thinking, no, I need to save Krishna, Radha and Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, because they came in. Mr. Nair arranged that the municipal people would come, and they actually tore apart the temporary deity room that they had, and they were dragging the ladies away from the deities. I mean, and the ladies, nobody really got seriously injured there, but sometimes devotees do get injured in protecting the temple. And that, that intense anxiety is very much purifying. Because the service of Krishna is non-different than Krishna. What is that? Brahmarpanam, Brahmahamvir, Brahmagno, Brahmanohutam, Brahmatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhinam. That if one is absorbed intensely in one's service of Krishna, and the service may be protecting the deities, protecting the movement, then that is samadhi. And that is, because as probably the original translation of that verse is when one makes a full contribution, and they changed the translation, unfortunately. When one makes a full contribution to Brahman, then that which is offered becomes spiritualized, and the person who's making the offering becomes spiritualized, and the result of it becomes spiritualized. Everything becomes Brahman. Basically, I'm paraphrasing it. So, things related to Krishna, or, anything related to Krishna or Krishna's service, if have intense emotions in regard to those things, that is absorption or samadhi. So, any other questions or comments? Yes.
Hi, Krishna. I was wondering if we feel different emotions, intense emotions, does it purify us in different ways? Like if
Well, it depends on where those intense emotions are coming from. If those intense emotions are because I'm not getting enough to eat or something like that, that's not necessarily purifying. But the intense emotions to serve Krishna in various ways, like the pure devotee like Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, is intensely desiring to save all the souls within this world. Like you have the story of Vasudeva Dutt, who prayed to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please let me suffer the lot for all the conditioned souls would have to suffer, so that they can go back to God. So he was in anxiety about the conditioned souls. But not all anxiety is purifying. There's a lot of anxiety that's not purifying. So it's not. All right?
Would that anxiety be different purification than like a different emotion that's stemming from a devotional place?
Yeah. Yeah, anxiety may stimulate other emotions. As long as they're centered on pleasing Krishna, somehow or other connected to Krishna, or things related to Krishna or Krishna's devotees. So we have one more minute. Any other questions?
Attacked the temple, and one devotee lost his leg when he was shot. so, I mean, devotees were protecting the deities, and they were ready to give their life.
Or when people attacked Sridham Mayapur,
Yeah, that's another one too.
and Bhakti Raghava Maharaj lost his leg, they threw this bomb, and it actually blew off his leg. And I believe they even took him to prison, or took some of the devotees to prison. Yeah, at that particular point. So, sometimes Krishna puts us in these anxiety-filled situations for our own purification. And actually, there's another instance when Prabhupada was waiting for Tamal Krishna Maharaj after Tamal Krishna Maharaj had gone to Mayapur to purchase the land. Remember the story? And Prabhupada couldn't sleep. He was pacing up and down because he was in anxiety. And finally, I guess it was around midnight or middle of the night, Tamal Krishna Maharaj comes. And Prabhupada's so happy, and he says, take prasadam, and he feels relieved. So anxiety in Krishna consciousness sometimes is good. I mean, it's always good. No, not crippling. Not crippling, but anxiety to please Krishna. If it's anxiety over one's own sense gratification, am I going to get enough to eat? I remember in the early days of the movement, during the Sunday feast, we had the guest eat first, and I was always in anxiety, is there going to be enough for prasadam? That's not purified. Okay, on that happy note, all me. Namago Vishnu Pataya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Samaniti Namane Namaste, Namaste, Devi, Gurmani Macha, Nay, Nivishesha, Shunyavati, Matchajagati, Satanay. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Siva Sati Gaurata Prema Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Siva Sati Gaurata Vrenda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Siva Sati Gaurata Vrenda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hey,
Ki Jai. And before the Shashasika, I just wanted to remind everybody, tomorrow is last Friday. It's a festival here in Hillsborough. We'll have a Harinam Sankirtan at 6 to 8, and we'll be meeting at the corner of Margaret and Churton Street. So please come. It's a lot of people there, so it's a nice place for a kirtan. Chaitodarpanam marjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. These wonderful flowers.
Hope it's not going to rain tomorrow.
I hope not. Better than today. Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis tatrapita niyamita smarane nakala etad drishita vakripa bhagavan mamapi dordaiva midrishami hajjani nanuraga trinadapi sunichena tarorapi suhishuna amani namana dana kirtaniya sadahari nadaram najanam nasundarim kavitam vajagadisha kamaye mama janmani ishvare bhavadad bhaktir ohaitaki twai Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam buddha kripayata vapada bhangaja stita duli sadushim vichintaya Nayanam Gadashudaraya Varanam Gad Gadaridaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vabhukada Tavanamagahane Bhavishpati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagatsarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyavapadamritam Panastumam Adarshanam Marma Hata Karotuva Yatatatava vidadatu lampato mat prananatastusa eva napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by names, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servant